So now this leads me to the topic of drugs and steroids and GH and all that other stuff, okay? If you, and I don't know if you did, but based on some of the research I did you and Chad Nicholls ever do anything together?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so I know there's more follow-up.
Working to me, bro.
Okay, so even if he did get close to you, you would have never taken his counsel?
He tried to. 1996, I went to guest post for him, took me to dinner, and he asked me if I needed any help. I just got second place to Dorian Yates. No, I don't need your help. I don't even know you, first of all, and I've done it all myself. And I think that's where we started to butt heads. I flatly refused any help from him. And then he went on to say a few years later that if I had his help, maybe I could have been Mr. Olympia, which is nonsense because, of course, you had Nasser in 97 and Flex Wheeler and Kevin Levrone that were getting second places towards the end. But Chad's got blood all over his hands, man. I mean, Ronnie Coleman will defend him to the 9th degree, but he was in that bathtub near death in 2001 at the direction of Chad Nicholls, who's not a doctor, by the way. There's at least 5 deaths. Don Youngblood, Nasser El Somebody, Dallas McCarver, and a few other people that he's had his relationships with as a bodybuilding coach that are dead and in the ground, and he hadn't gone to one funeral. Don Long, no kidneys.
He hadn't gone to one funeral.
No, not one. These are people he worked with. Didn't go to funerals. Don Long doesn't have kidneys. He was working with Chad Nicholls. Flex Wheeler, kidney. He's working with Chad Nicholls. Tom Pritz, kidney. When I say kidney, I'm talking about transplants. Chad Nicholls. Those are the ones we know about. So what does that say about a guy that works with all these guys in his camp? I competed against all those guys. Me and Kevin Levrone and Milo Sarcev refused to have anything to do with Chad Nicholls, and that's probably why we're still healthy in here. But everyone that he was working with that was in that camp, they're all jacked up. Paul Dillette got smart and got the hell out. But he still had a couple of hernia surgeries. But how does that happen? You have all of those top-notch athletes. Ronnie Coleman's, in 2001, my last Olympia, Ronnie was getting ready to go to the emergency room. Thank God he was thrown into a bathtub. Who's thrown into a bathtub full of ice the night before you're competing? Who's guzzling a gallon of water to try to revitalize yourself because you feel like you're dying and your coach is sitting there next to you? I mean, Michael Jackson died with his doctor in his room. So I never would give somebody that kind of control over what I'm doing with my body, especially when they're not certified doctors. I interviewed Tom Prince recently. He's going through dialysis. He looks like he's near death. He can't be 175 pounds. And he's defended. He said if he had to do it again, Chad Nicholls is a good friend.
He would do it again.
I said if you didn't have Chad Nicholls, you probably would be healthy. Me and him, it's no mistake that we're not friends. And he was in the enemy camp. In 1998, they were instituting diuretic testing. And Kevin and I were asking for a blood test because we knew that Chad was going to show up in 98. This is when it's open. Anybody can win. We wanted it to be blood tested instead of piss test because we knew Chad had some plasma expander, including Milo Sarcev, who wasn't in the Olympia. We were trying to go so far as to keep Chad away from the athletes meeting, to keep him away from the damn show altogether. Flex Wheeler wanted to fight me. Kevin Levrone, after the press conference, took his jacket off. He was sweating so much water. He wanted to tear Chad Nicholls a new hole because he didn't want Chad Nicholls anywhere near that competition. And of course, Ronnie won the show. Flex was second. I think Kevin was third. I know I was 5th place that year. That's when I tried to come in heavier because I felt it was a wide open show. I got to put on some, so I came in about 5 pounds too heavy. But nonetheless, I never let that die because Chad Nicholls left a wake of bodies in his path, and he's like a state chairman, and he runs competitions, and he's not a friend of mine. And I would have had more respect for him had he gone to some funerals. I mean, Don Youngblood was a good friend of mine. He was mutual friends with my buddy Dan English out of Arkansas. So I don't endorse any of his practices, but you'll find he's got a very loyal following.
He does have a very loyal following.
Yeah, he was working with Dallas McCarver. When he started working with Dallas McCarver, I said, Dallas has 6 months to live. He died 8 months later. So I have a reason to be pissed. I'm not prophetic. I'm not Nostradamus, but I know danger when I see it, and I knew that guy was dangerous back in the 90s.